What's up, comic book junkies? This is the Sunday morning Nighttiger comic show. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different, and if you like it, I'm probably going to do one more. See what the feedback is on this. But anyway, I'm in the comic book.
Watch Nighttiger Comics! Watch
Nighttiger Comics!
Nighttiger Comics!
Nighttiger Comics!
Nighttiger Comics! Nighttiger Comics!
Okay.
Watch Nighttiger Comics! Comics!
Yeah!
I apologize, no videos last week. Work has been so much and so overwhelming. I haven't had any time. But one of the things I wanted to do is put out a video for you guys. So let me show you what I'm gonna do. So I'm going through boxes, getting ready to move because we're moving. We bought a house, so Monday we'll own the house in Alabama, and I've been going through boxes, getting rid of things. Threw a bunch of stuff out, but these are my memory boxes here. Art, different things, cards from the kids. Here's a scrapbook right here from 1983. Here's some art that I'm going to show. And I'm going to show my scrapbook from 1984, which is over here. So we have this Rudy Sarzo from Quiet Riot that I made back in 1985. And it's pretty decent. So we'll start off with that. Set this somewhere. That'll be hung up in the new comic room. This was in there. I don't think this was mine. I thought this was my son's, but he said it wasn't his. Because, I don't know, this isn't something... I mean, I watched Happy Days. I liked it. And I was into the Fonz, like in second and third grade. But beyond that, I moved on. And, so I don't know whose that is. And I'll keep it, though. Matter of fact, when I think I was in first grade, living in the city of Milwaukee, there used to be a greaser gang in my neighborhood, and they actually adopted me, and they nicknamed me Mitchell. And every time they saw me, they called me over and let me hang out with them as they walked around the street being tough. So here's a comic book I started on called The Marijuana Weapon, and my wife just pointed out that I spelled marijuana wrong. So it takes place on a planet called Gangland. It's where they send all the criminals. So Gangland and the Forbidden Zone, 2 worlds, 4 planets. So I guess it was 4 planets, and they were all prisons. Imminent repairs had to be delayed in order to pursue a most dangerous bail jumper. And contemplating the situation has gotten me into things don't look real good. So time for some quick thinking. And here's the guy's like a sheriff or something in space. And of course, this was when Star Wars was popular. I never did finish it, unfortunately. I should bring some of these panels to life with AI. But you got like some kind of man-eating plants here and werewolf guys. Ooh, the swearing right there. So not bad for a 14-year-old. And here's the last page. Is this the last page? Yeah, I think this is the last page. So I was just learning how to draw comics. Well, I've been drawing for about 2 years up to this point. Self-taught, just reading comics and remembering, like camera shotting stuff into my mind and using it in my art. So on to the scrapbook. Let me put my camera on a stand. So I thought I'd do 1984 first because it's a little bit more interesting, I think. I was really coming of age then. In 1984, I had my first real girlfriend. To be honest with you, she was my first. And she was 18, I was 15, and I was in love, man. So you'll see some pictures of her in here. and you'll just get a glimpse into my life in 1984. So here we go. So this was a character I created because at the time, video game arcading was hot, and this is Space Invader. And I made a character for all the popular video games, Missile Commander, Defender. So basically, he's like Moon Knight. Basically, he's Moon Knight just with a new name. And there's this helicopter. So let me get a screenshot of that. Let's take a look. So we had a thing in the newspaper in Milwaukee Journal called the Green Sheet, which was like about, I think, no more than 6 wraps or 3 wraps, 6 pages. So we have the anniversary or the birthday of Donald Duck at the time. You see the date right there. He was 50 years old. And of course, I was into a lot of art even then. All is not lost when you see an innocent child with a bouquet of dandelions. And then, of course, I was just into heavy metal recently. We have I think that's part of the article on Donald. So we have the movies that were out at the time and the concerts that were going on. And I got a lot of these out of the school where they had newspapers from Los Angeles and stuff like that. When they were no longer relevant, like a week later, they would give them away for free, and I would cut out all the concert advertisements. Ozzy, 84, Great White, Judas Priest, Bon Jovi, Scorpions at the Forum. And then here we have a little thing about Beetle Bailey. I was never into these kind of movies, these slashers. My friends were into them, so, I went and watched a few just because my friends were into them. Here we have another Los Angeles advertisement for Judas Priest. What album was this? This is the one right after Screaming for Vengeance. I forget the name of it. Here we have some Marvel Comics advertisement. That looks like a John Byrne ad, actually. Discover a variety of gifts available at your Marvel Comics or your local comic fantasy. And we have Hollywood Palladium, Michael Schenker Group. I had his first CD, or no, cassette, and I really liked it. Attack of the Mad Axe Man was one of the songs I liked. Here we have, who we have here? Oh, this is Saxon. I never really got into Saxon. Not to say that they're not good. I like a lot of their music. It just never appealed to me much. And I was a huge Far Side fan. I thought he had the greatest unique humor. Always looking forward to reading him. I forget the guy's name who created that. But I was into big time comic strips in the newspaper. And then we got a dog attack. So I had a dog at the time. I've had a lot of dogs up to, I think, right before I married Milagros. And with 4 kids, having a dog was just too much work. So I never had a dog again. I had a lot of cats. So here's me at 14. I was in a band, not for very long. I wasn't very good. It was just the thing to do. Here's my girlfriend, Kathy. She worked at the police department at the time she got this photo. And I did go see Kiss Lick It Up tour, which had Heaven. What was the other bands? Vandenberg, Heaven, and there was a third band. There were 4 bands. Kiss was the headliner. Great concert. I can't remember it too much, but so that was the first album where they were actually unmasked. And then here's another picture of me with my Gibson remake. And then here's my girlfriend graduation picture. Kathy, I've never been able to locate her on social media. I'd like to see what she's up to these days. So then here we have The Police and the Cars. Their first albums came out in 78 and 79. So here's a article comparing the two bands. Me, I think the Police are great. I think their songs are really cool, but I prefer Cars. Their first album or their greatest hits or whatever, every song is just so good. The Police I like, but I prefer Cars if I had to choose. But not to say Police don't. Police have some great songs. So then we have here some German music. So the girlfriend that I was with before I met Kathy, she was straight from Germany. And then Kathy, her parents were also German, and they spoke German in the house. I think her dad didn't even speak English. So I was influenced by a lot of German at the time. And then the song 99 Luftballons was popular. And then we have a Ted Nugent advertisement right here at the Hollywood. How do you say that? Palladium? I don't know what this is. Something about Betty Boop. Tell me in the comments if you enjoy this, because I'll do my 1983 scrapbook. We just saw that one. It's just a bigger advertisement. And this is part of the article. Kiss Without Mask is just bad music. I don't know. I still today think Lick It Up is a really good album. The song Lick It Up itself is probably the least favorite of mine on the whole album, though. But not to say it's not. It's a great write. Here we go. This is a continuation of the German pop music. Accept. Great band. And then, I don't know what this is. Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Richie Blackmore article. Ronnie James Dio. Y&T and Dokken. Dokken, one of my number one favorite bands, alongside Van Halen. My girlfriend, Kathy, she was huge into Rat and Prince. Those were her two big things that she loved. And then here we have Rat with Steeler. Steeler, a great band. Yngwie Malmsteen. I first heard that album at a record shop. They were playing it behind, they had the promo. And I just heard it. I was blown away. I quickly went up to the guy running the shop and I said, "How much for that?" And he goes, "Oh, no, I can't sell it to you." I'm like, "Why not? I'll buy it right now." And he's like, "Oh, no, because it's a promo. We can't sell it." And it hadn't been released fully yet. And I waited and waited for that release, and it was well worth it. I don't know what this is. Rock and Roll is a Teacher. But there's like Marvel stickers. And then here we have Van Halen. 1984 tour is my girlfriend. This is when we used to go out in the woods behind my house. We had like a 5-mile, I don't know how many acres, probably like 100 acres of woods. And then on the other side was another town with a drive-in theater. And we'd go out there and get stoned all the time. Oh, she'd get me so stoned. It was unbelievable. Yep, I was a bad boy back then. So we have some more Far Side. 38 Special. I had another picture here of my friend, but I ripped it out. Derek. He was one of the ones we get stoned. And then here's Quiet Riot. Cartoonist Killed. So anything cartoon I would cut out and save or was interested in. I was big into art, big into metal, big into comics, big into partying, big into hanging out with my girlfriend. So I went and saw this concert. Rat opened up for him. He stood on stage, just didn't even move. It was so boring. So Rat opened. They were jumping all over the stage and bouncing around. The music was just so cool. Squire came on. He just stood there, didn't move in front of the microphone. I was so stoned and drunk. I started falling asleep. So boring. And all the security people started running over towards me, and I was like, "What's going on?" And they ran over shaking me. "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And because I was falling asleep, I couldn't stay awake, and they thought I was overdosing right there in the concert. Here's a family reunion. If you've seen my cousin, he was here on one of my channels. We did a live show. That's him right there, Tim. We'd get together. Every year we'd have a Smith family reunion with they had cookout, they had a flag, and they had acres of land. We'd all bring campers and tents, and the kids had to stay away from the adults after dinner. The adults would get together and play poker all night, and then all of us cousins would get together and go get drunk and smoke pot. Wow, those were the times, huh? Here we have some with Heathcliff. And then here we have another green sheet article about comics. Mark's 50th anniversary of somebody. I don't know if it was Captain Marvel. I mean, maybe it was the comic book 50th anniversary. And then Joe Palooka article from the green sheet right here. And then my girlfriend again, another, I think that was a graduation picture. She ended up, her mom gave her a car. So she had a job, an apartment, and her mom gave her a car. And, I was living on cloud nine. And when I started dating her, and she was a senior and I was a sophomore, it was funny because I don't know if you know the phenomena, but all the girls that were sophomores must have thought, oh, there's something about this guy. And so I had all these offers from other seniors to want to go out with me. And yeah, it was a wild time. And here's some more Far Side. So anyway, she owned a car. Her mom gave her car, and one of the cylinders would miss. So one day when she was supposed to pick me up for school, she never showed up, and I didn't know what happened. So I found out later, after school, that she was in the hospital. She had tried to cross. She got to the center of a 4-lane highway or state road. Here's my dogs, or one of my dogs, Ace, my brothers, Misty, and then this was at a winery. She went to try to beat a car, and the cylinder, it missed. The car hesitated, and she got hit on the side, broke her nose. She had a hairline fracture right down the middle of her nose. So when I saw her, she looked like a raccoon. Her eyes were like super black. And I was concerned for her, but I was also mad. I was like, that was our car. We had our own car. We could go everywhere. Now we couldn't go anywhere again. Because before her mom gave her the car, she would come over on her 10-speed, and we would just ride around through the whole city. Six Flags. So I lived in Milwaukee. Six Flags was in Chicago. Her and I went to Six Flags together. And then here we have that continuing article of Donald Duck's 50th anniversary. And then here's one on Goofy. Here's me, and this is me in 7th grade. This is the first time this is from the orthodontist. But I discovered the secret of getting girls was to grow my hair long. Once I grew my hair long, I had girls wanting to go out with me all the time. So tell your kids and your grandkids. I tell my grandsons, hey, you want to get girls, grow your hair long. So here we have the Marvel card completing the Fantastic Four 100 issue cover. Another Kiss advertisement. And then I was big into collies. So anything about collies, I had a collie, Ace, named after the Bat Hound, and Ace Frehley. So I was big into Ace Frehley at the time. I miss that dog. My parents, so I was allergic to dogs, but I had this dog, and he was my best friend. I think there's a picture in here of him. This is from Kathy. And since I was so allergic to dogs, my mom thinking she was helping me, because she used to tell me, don't sleep with the dog. He's not to come in the house and sleep with you. My wife's calling me for dinner. I'll be right there. I would sneak him in the house at night, and he would sleep with me. But my mom was concerned for my health. She would take me to the allergenic doctors. I'd get all the tests. So one day they gave the dog away. They put him on a farm. And I came home, and my dog wasn't there, and I went into this big, deep depression for a couple weeks until my parents, they couldn't get me out of the depression, and they went back to the farm, and they got my dog back. So we'll leave it right here. I'm going to be back after dinner. Please leave some comments, and we'll keep moving on. There's a few pages left, so I'm having fun. I always like going through this every couple years. All right, we got this first Supergirl movie advertisement here. Here we're missing some pictures. Stonies, Mike, Jeff, and John at the pig roast. Ace and family. But here's a glimpse into my room. So I was 16 at the time. See, I got some original art on the wall there. And I got a poster there. I don't know what it is. I got an AC/DC poster there. I didn't have a bed frame. I just put my mattress on the floor. I figured, what the heck? And what does it say? Getting Wild. Here's my closet. Something my girlfriend made for me, Mike and Kathy. And this is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Here we got some more. Here we got some pictures. Here we have a Straight Talk Steve Perry single. I don't remember what happened to the record. Here's my buddy. We called our group Mallet. His nickname was Spike. He was a drummer. Dan was his real name. Here's some pictures of me. This was 7th grade. 6th or 7th grade. 7th grade for sure. What does that say? 82. Okay, it says me in 6th grade. Psychedelic me. Here's my mom, who passed away when I was 15. Wait, 15 or 16? 1984. She committed suicide. That's my younger sister. And my dad in the background. My favorite uncle and dealer, so he would get me marijuana, my dad's brother. Actually set it up. My dad set up so I could live with him when my dad had cancer, and my dad moved to Florida, but I followed my dad. And obviously me again. I cut the gloves up there so they look cool. Got my Nikes. Here's another girlfriend at the roller rink, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda. Kathy again. Hey, Kathy. And Spike, Dan Schmitz. More pictures. Here's another girl. She liked me. So my dad's family lived up on the Indian reservation in northern Wisconsin, and I'd go up there, and this girl had a crush on me, Connie. And there's my dog taking a leak, Ace. And then here's the other girlfriend when she was in Germany. She was in Germany at the time, and then I met Kathy and started dating Kathy while she was still there. And her friends saw me at a parade with Kathy, and oh, they were mad. That was her little sister. Her name was Tina. Tina in Germany. And then there's me and Kathy. Kathy was a heavy metaler like me. Christmas 1984. These were good times. This was before both my parents passed away, like the year before. And yeah, we can see with that lunar eclipse. There's Kathy again on my bed in my bedroom with her fishnets, her heavy metal costume, or clothes or whatever, death metal. Then we changed our name to Death Angel. Here we are at the mall, hanging out. And then here's me and Dan right here, posing for some pictures. Thought we were cool, man. Me again. We're almost to the end. This was my dad. He got remarried to my stepmom after my mom had committed suicide. Not even, I think, 8 months later. This is our house in Wisconsin. Look at that fireplace. Smoking with the devil. The wedding. Then we changed our name to Bad Axe. The Bad Axe Boys. I don't know what that is. I look like Mick Mars, a part of Mick Mars. Okay, that's about it. There's me trying to be cool. I bought those spandex at Fredericks of Hollywood. I had a pool table in the basement. Here's my sister, my friend, and my other friend Jeff. And then here's me and my little brother. This is actually in Florida, I believe. Yeah, there's part of McMars. It was part of McMars. My friend Jeff again. And then me and my brother, my little tiny brother. This is just when we moved to Florida. And that's it, guys. That was it for 1984. I don't know. Tell me what you think. It was fun going through it for me. I don't know what you guys think, but hey, leave some comments. And if you want, I'll go through the 1983 one next week or whenever I can get around to it. So, this is Nighttiger Comics. Hope you enjoyed the video. And I'm going to do a comics video now for for Saturday. But anyways, thank you for all support. Nighttiger out. I said Nighttiger out.